And welcome back to AutoNet. So earlier today, I was talking to someone about GeoJSON utilities and the fact that there's a lot of them out there for converting EsriJSON to GeoJSON. So if you're not familiar with it, GeoJSON is a transport format for sending geographic data over the web. It's a pretty basic GeoJSON schema. It's got properties and geometry. And Esri services have what's referred to as EsriJSON. They also have geometry and properties that are called attributes, but they've got other data like metadata associated with the features, so that like when you bring the features into an application, you know what the field types are and stuff like that. It's pretty handy when you're building apps. GeoJSON is a little bit smaller and it's used all over the place. So there's been a lot of tools written over the years that you could use it. I mean, I've done a handful myself. John Guavois, who I was talking to earlier, has done a handful himself as well, and there's plenty of them out there. If you go to the Esri's Esri org on GitHub, and you just search for GeoJSON, you'll see a handful of tools on there. And you can get to the source for all of these is available for you to check out. So the first one I had really played with, or the first one that was like pretty easy to use in applications when I started messing around with it was Terraformer. So Terraformer has a parser in here that's got some pretty good documentation, and it's pretty straightforward because you pretty much are going to parse GeoJSON to EsriJSON or EsriJSON to GeoJSON. It converts both ways. So you got a couple of things you can do in here. It's got some really, like I said, documentation is pretty simple, easy to use. There's another set of tools on Esri's GitHub, which is GeoJSON utils, except what you see here, this one is deprecated in here, and it's got links to a couple other things that are currently available. Here's Terraformer in here, but there's also the ArcGIS to GeoJSON utils. All right, so there's this one in here you can play around with, and it's pretty easy to use. Like I said, these are all very straightforward. You give it a geometry from GeoJSON or EsriJSON, it'll convert it to the other format. There's also this layer here that Al Afambra wrote a while ago for version 3 of the JavaScript API. It's a GeoJSON layer. You just point the layer to some GeoJSON data, and you're going to get data on your map. All right, pretty straightforward, easy to use. So I'm going to take a quick look at the ArcGIS to GeoJSON utils and how you might use something like that in your application. So I have here, this is a sample from the 4x API. And with 4x, it's actually pretty easy to convert your GeoJSON points to EsriJSON because you're pretty much just concerned about XY coordinates and changing properties to attributes when you're doing the conversion. And if you come down over here, you can see the code for that is written right here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So it's actually pretty straightforward to do that just by creating the point and grabbing the coordinate here. Now doing lines and polygons is a little trickier because there's this whole thing of rings and paths, and the rings go in the opposite direction from one spec to the other. Blah, blah, blah. No big deal. Don't worry about it. So in here, I have gone ahead and I'm bringing in the ArcGIS to GeoJSON utils. I'm just linking to the npm package, and I've brought it into my project. I'm going to grab the GeoJSON to ArcGIS stuff in here. And I already started writing a little bit of this code in here in the create graphics, right? So I'm just going to take the data and I'm going to map the features to that function to create my GeoJSON, right? So let me go ahead and do this here. Let's change this to this, all right? So we can remove that. Now at this point, all the data is going to get converted. I do want to create this one new field though. So I'm going to copy that, and let's just do geojson.map. Alright, so this is the old code that was used here, but I've already converted this GeoJSON to EsriJSON. So I need to change properties to attributes. The geometry, the second coordinate is actually going to be the Y, I believe. Yeah, if I want depth, that should be the Y. Cross my fingers. Correct. Oh, I also need to turn the geometry into an actual point, because right now it's just GeoJSON. I'm sorry, it's just a JSON object. It's not actually a point class, so I need to do that. And let's refresh this, see if I got any errors. No errors, and there we go. It went ahead and it converted my GeoJSON to EsriJSON for me. I've got my depth calculation in there, and I got my magnitude working with my renderer. Everything's good to go. So I was able to eliminate a bunch of code there and just use the GeoJSON, or I'm sorry, the ArcGIS GeoJSON utils to convert my GeoJSON into EsriJSON I could use in my app. So if you ever find yourself having to do something like that in your applications, feel free to check out this repository. Is pretty easy to use, and maybe even Terraform if you got some more stuff you want to do. Thanks.